Your salary in Dubai arrives with nothing taken out of it. No income tax. Not a single dirham. For most people who move there, that first payslip is the moment the decision feels justified. The number at the bottom of the page is the number that reaches your account. Back home, a third of it would have vanished before you ever saw it. Here is the part that doesn't fit. Work 3 years in Dubai on a typical package, then leave. Add up everything UAE law says your employer owes you for those 3 years of service. For a great many people, it comes to roughly 1 month of take-home pay. 3 years of work, about 1 month of money. Nothing about that is hidden. It is written into federal statute in plain language, and you could read the relevant article in an afternoon. Almost nobody does. Not until year 3, when the arithmetic arrives all at once. This is not a story about Dubai being a scam. It isn't one. It is a story about a system that is completely transparent and almost universally misread. And about why the misreading comes due at roughly the same point for almost everyone. If you would rather understand how a system actually works than listen to somebody's opinion about it, you are going to like this channel. Consider sticking around. Start with the thing that makes Dubai unlike almost anywhere else on Earth. As of 2026, the United Arab Emirates has roughly 11 million residents. Fewer than 1.5 million of them are Emirati citizens. Around 88% of the people in the country are foreign nationals, according to the Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Center. In Dubai itself, the figure runs higher still, close to 9 in 10. Outside of Vatican City, no country on the planet has a higher share of foreign residents. Sit with that for a second, because it changes what the word living means. In most countries, a large migrant population is a group moving through a system built for citizens. In the UAE, the migrant population is the system. The housing market, the hospitals, the schools, the labor law. All of it is designed around people who are, in legal terms, temporary. And temporary is the operative word. Emirati nationality is governed by Federal Law No. 17 of 1972. A 2021 amendment opened a naturalization route for a narrow set of investors, scientists, doctors, and creatives. But it works by nomination, not application. You cannot put your hand up. For the overwhelming majority of the 9.5 million foreign residents, no amount of time served converts into citizenship. So residency is not a step toward anything. Residency is the ceiling. That single fact is the foundation everything else sits on. It is also the first of 4 mechanisms that tend to converge at the same moment. Here is the second. Your right to be in the country is attached to your job. When an employment visa is cancelled, Dubai's General Directorate of Residency and Foreigners Affairs grants a grace period of 60 days to sort out your status or leave. Depending on visa category and skill level, that window can run anywhere from 30 days to 180. Overstay it, and the fine is 50 dirhams a day. Read that again as a piece of household planning rather than a piece of paperwork. In most of the world, losing your job is a financial event. In the UAE, losing your job starts a countdown on your legal right to remain in your own home. Your lease does not care. Your children's school term does not care. Which brings us to the money that is supposed to catch you. Every private sector employee in the UAE with at least 1 year of continuous service is owed an end-of-service gratuity. It is set out in Article 51 of Federal Decree Law No. 33 of 2021, which came into force in February 2022. The formula is 21 days of wages for each of the first 5 years of service and 30 days for each year after that, capped at 2 years total. 21 days a year sounds generous, and a lot of people hear the word gratuity and file it mentally somewhere near pension. It is not one. The reason is a single word in the statute. The calculation runs on your basic salary, not your package. Housing allowance, transport allowance, bonuses, all excluded. In the Gulf, it is completely standard for basic pay to sit at around half of total compensation, sometimes less. So do the arithmetic that almost nobody does before they sign. 3 years of service earns you 63 days of basic salary. The daily rate is your basic divided by 30. 63 days is therefore about 2.1 months of basic pay. If your basic is half your package, that is roughly 1 month of what actually lands in your account. That is the number from the top of this video, and it comes straight out of the statute. Nothing is being withheld from you. The law is doing exactly what it says it will do. It simply is not the safety net people picture. And by the time most people check, they have already built 3 years of assumptions on top of it. There is a fair objection here, and it deserves stating. Somebody who stays 10 or 15 years accrues considerably more, because the rate steps up after year 5. The gratuity is designed to reward length of service, and it does. The trouble is that the median expatriate experience in the Gulf is not 15 years. It is a few years, and then a move. Now, the third mechanism. This is the one that usually lands first. Rent in Dubai is generally paid annually, in advance, often in 1 to 4 checks, not monthly, a year at a time. Increases are governed by Decree number 43 of 2013, and the design is genuinely clever. How much your landlord may raise your rent depends entirely on how far below the official market index you currently sit. If you are within 10% of the index, the answer is 0. No increase permitted at all. 11 to 20% below the index, 5%. 21 to 30% below, 10%. 31 to 40% below, 15. More than 40% below, and your landlord may raise it by 20. Under Law number 33 of 2008, they must give you 90 days written notice. And since January 2025, the index itself has run on Dubai's Smart Rental Index, updated far more frequently than the annual version it replaced. Notice what this system actually does. It protects you completely when you are paying market rate. It exposes you precisely when you are paying under it. Here is the trap, because it is not obvious. Arrive in a soft market, sign a good deal, and you feel like you have won. Then the market rises around you. Your rent is frozen at last year's number, so the gap between your rent and the index widens, which mechanically moves you into a higher permitted increase band. Your reward for negotiating well is legal exposure to a 15 or 20% jump at renewal. That is why year 2 stings and year 3 tends to break the budget. It is not one enormous increase. It is compounding, from a base that keeps falling further behind. Then, for anyone with children, the fourth mechanism. There are no free public schools for expatriate children in Dubai. Public education is reserved for UAE nationals. Every expatriate family pays private fees, without exception. Dubai has around 227 private schools, serving roughly 387,000 students from 185 nationalities, all regulated by the Knowledge and Human Development Authority, the KHDA. Annual fees run from under 10,000 dirhams at budget schools to well over 100,000 at the top tier. That range is enormous, and it matters. School choice in Dubai is not only about education. It is a recurring cost line that scales with the number of children you have and rises as they get older. A family that arrived with a toddler and a newborn faces a very different budget in year 3 than the one they modeled in year 1. And the change had nothing to do with rent, salary, or tax. So here is the honest version of what happens. None of these 4 things is a trick. Each is public, documented, and defensible on its own terms. But they share a rhythm. The visa cycle, the lease renewal, the gratuity accrual, and the school calendar all run on annual clocks. And they tend to fall out of alignment with the plan somewhere around the 2nd renewal. To be clear, year 3 is our framing, not an official statistic. Nobody publishes a number for it. What is documented is each individual mechanism, and each one bites on a schedule. It is also worth saying what the other side of this looks like, because Dubai works extremely well for a specific profile. A high earner without children, in a modest apartment, from a country that cleanly releases its tax residency, can save at a rate that is close to impossible in most of Europe or North America. That is not marketing. That is arithmetic too, and the protections are real. The rent index exists precisely to stop arbitrary increases. School fee rises are capped by an education cost index, set at 2.35% for the 2025 to 2026 academic year. And in May 2026, following a directive from Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, The KHDA confirmed that Dubai's private schools would not raise fees at all for the 2026 to 2027 year, as part of a wider package of family support measures. That is a government responding, in public, to exactly the pressure we have been describing. So the useful question was never whether Dubai is worth it. The useful question is which profile this system rewards and whether that profile is you. Because Dubai is not built to be a place you end up. It is built to be a place you pass through, efficiently, at a specific stage of life. The people who do well are usually the ones who understood that going in and planned an exit before they needed one. The people caught out in year 3 are almost always the ones who assumed the arrangement would slowly turn into permanence. It never does. It was never designed to. And that is worth taking with you whether or not you ever set foot in the Emirates. Every place you live runs on rules that are written down and almost never read. The cost of not reading them rarely shows up in year 1. It shows up later, all at once, at the exact moment you have the least flexibility to respond. If that was useful, subscribe. We take one system apart properly every week.